to Season 3, Episode 21 of the Film Bros Championship Podcast. I am Tim, and with me is my co-host, Patrick. How you doing, buddy?
Tim, I take it by your presence here at 8:45, you did not.
That was also my favorite line. I would say 98% of this movie, for me, is Thomas Hayden Church.
What did I tell you going into it? Like, what was my memory of this?
I remember you saying it was fine.
Right?
And that was your biggest takeaway, I feel.
But, like...
But I don't remember after that.
I definitely told you, like, Thomas Hayden Church brings all the funny to this. He's carrying this thing for the funny.
Oh, for sure. I mean, there is some, I would say, like lines here or there from Elliot Page. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, yes.
Yeah. But I stand by the fine, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's gonna get docked a lot for certain things. But yeah, it's not like bad by any means.
No, this is a middle of the road fine movie.
It's
Smart
fine.
people.
Yeah, I feel like there was a better version of this movie made later.
Oh.
Yeah. What? Oh, now I'm drawing a blank on the. What's the movie? With what's his name from Arrested Development?
Jason Bateman.
Yeah, that it does the spelling bee thing.
Oh, I didn't see that movie.
It's good, and I feel like I would have wanted to see Jason Bateman in this role. Change the cast up a bit, but like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like
make some changes to the cast, like basically
sure.
everybody.
But I feel like it would have, and I guess we should kind of get into it because it's going to dip into Hero. But it's like kind of one of my biggest things where like, and I don't be wrong, as much as I hate him politically, like I like him as an actor.
Bad words.
And
that was the
what?
Jason Bateman spelling movie. Bad words.
Bad words. Oh, thank you. Yeah. So I've always dug Dennis Quaid. He's charismatic.
Not in this movie. They don't want him to be.
No, they don't want him to be. and I feel like maybe they do want you to really feel the like, oh, dude, you're such a douche or whatever. You know, they really want you to feel that, I guess. But I'm like, man, if they just had like a Jason Bateman in this kind of performance, like I think like some of his snobbish things would have been more humorous. Like it would have come off funnier. And it just didn't want to be that, I guess. So
it definitely
maybe it's
feels
just me.
like watching this movie that the I don't know. Well, we'll get into it later. I don't want to.
Yeah.
It's gonna. But anyway, Dennis Quaid is a very charming actor when given the right stuff. I dare you to watch Inner Space and not think he's fucking great.
No, he is good. I really do. I really do think he's really good.
But anyway, Smart People.
Yeah, Smart People, which I believe is your pick.
It is my pick. Smart People
Yeah.
is a story about, what was his character named? Lawrence Weatherhold, a college professor who is just an absolute grump, a pompous windbag.
Yep.
And one day he gets into a accident and has a seizure, a trauma-induced seizure, which means he can no longer drive a car. So his deadbeat loser brother becomes his chauffeur, and slowly his presence there, and along with other things, starts to get him out of this funk.
Yeah.
And that is the movie, more or less.
Yeah. Yeah. That's about fair. So let's just get into him.
Yeah.
Let's get right into our hero because it's weird because like
this is the biggest flaw of the movie. I agree.
It is like it's. I feel like it is just miscasting. Because he's not.
I don't know if
he's not a bad actor. He's not a bad actor at all. He's good.
I don't think there's a lot in. I think this is a decision either by just the actor or by a combination of the both. Like this is how the director writer.
I'm thinking it's the director writer interpretation.
I don't know. This is the part where I will say Dennis Quaid's political beliefs made me like, I wonder how he feels about a snobbish literary professor.
Yeah, because it weirdly at times too, there's just not a lot of objection to the young Republican and all that kind of stuff. Like it's just like, no, you're too focused on your studious things or whatever. But it's just kind of like there's times where I feel if you wanted this to be more of a comedy and not just be all Thomas Hayden Church, that we needed something else. Like there's times where his snobbishness should have come off funnier, but it never seemed like it wanted to do that.
Yeah, I mean it's an absolute puzzle why Sarah Jessica Parker's character finds him attractive. I mean, I would have understood it because they originally knew each other when she was a student at 19 and he was like, I guess 30 years old. So I could understand the attraction then. I was just like a purely physical level, but as they both adults now and they both get to know each other, why would she keep going back after she's really gotten to know him? Like that's absolutely
it is puzzling. I think the scene of them playing Scrabble together has to do a lot of heavy lifting. Like a lot of heavy lifting to like make this relationship make sense,
I guess. But yeah,
because the rest of it, the two of them together, you're like, why? Why do you keep going back for this?
I don't know. So yeah, Lawrence Weatherhold, a long-tenured literary professor at Carnegie Mellon University. He's a snobbish grump with zero interest in learning his students' names or interacting with them at all. Yep. You get the sense that he was always like this, but he got much worse after his wife's death many years ago.
Right. There's like something that you kind of get the gist of where the wife was somewhat good at like calling him out on when he's going overboard with his crap. And now he's in a real bad funk. It's like no one's there to call him out, and so it's just bad.
And I wonder if it was the movie's vision or Dennis Quaid's to give his dick English professor a shitty beard and a bad haircut that goes over his ears.
I was wondering too, does Dennis Quaid just so upset that he has to be this out of shape?
I don't know. Yeah, you think it definitely looks like a fake tummy they put on him.
Right. Even at this guy's age now, the dude's in good shape.
Yeah. And he also speaks with like a slightly effeminate voice. I don't know if that's fair, but it's very soft and drawn out. So I'm like, I wonder if this is like his vision of what a shitty literary professor is.
I don't know. This is one of the things I was kind of giving to him because it's like, this is the best job I've heard of him not give himself somewhat of because he's got some kind of like a drawl, like country kind of thing to him when he speaks a lot of times. I thought this is like the most non of that he's had in a long time.
I think it's just recency bias. My dude is I guess he is from Texas, but I don't know. I don't always hear that from him. Maybe that's my...
Oh, I think it's always there, to be honest.
All right, well, now I'm going to have to go back and watch all his movies from the 80s and the 90s.
That's a task.
Yeah, he's a prolific actor, that's for sure.
Yeah, he's done a lot.
Lawrence has an odd relationship with his own children.
Yes.
We get the impression he's mostly ignored his son, who, while sharing some of his interests, doesn't have any of his sensibilities.
None.
And he's so out of touch and disconnected from the world, from his world, that he comes to question his son about a $300 charge on his credit card, and because he doesn't recognize the business, and it's the school bookstore.
Yeah. Well, there's a line later between him and his daughter. There's a couple lines between him and his daughter about the son that I feel like is really illuminating to this, and I wish I remember the exact lines, but it almost kind of gave off this impression of he does not have the intelligence and ambition that they do, so he is almost beneath them.
Yeah,
and
that's definitely
like,
her view anyway.
Right, but he never seems to outwardly object that until the very end, and so you kind of get this feeling that he has towards his son, which is like, man, that's not cool. But he's still like at Carnegie Mellon. Nothing that we're told is he's unsuccessful at Carnegie Mellon, which is, by the way, is incredibly great school.
Yeah.
And then you do see him being like, oh wow, he's writing poetry. What? I didn't know this. And he's
writing poetry that got sold to the New Yorker.
But he doesn't know that yet. But he is kind of caught off guard towards the beginning of him writing poetry or whatever.
Was he writing in the beginning or just reading? I wasn't sure.
I could have sworn he was writing
Probably
it.
right. His daughter is treated like the maid, cook, and personal cheerleader. He only
Yes.
seems to pay attention to her when she's praising him.
Yeah, and you kind of get that vibe too. That and I thought that was probably the best feeling emotion that the movie kind of cuts through is where you do have that line later about you're my role model.
Yeah.
Basically calling him out like I'm this way because you're my role model. It's like, oh well, that's a good line. It's a good
Well,
scene.
it's
Like, that
no,
was-
I have it written down. Hold on a second. It's
Yeah.
hold on a second. I don't think you're very happy, Vanessa. Well, you're not happy, and you're my role model. It's like, ugh.
It's a gut punch.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
as I mentioned before, due to a fall, Lawrence has trauma-induced seizure and is not able to drive a car for 6 months, which is perfect for his brother Chuck, who needs a place to stay and can chauffeur him around.
Right.
Lawrence claims he can't sit on the right side of the car. He'll get sick if he does, and always sits behind the driver.
Yeah. For whatever reason. Yep.
And when his son calls him out on this, he responds, "Well, if I vomit, we'll both look stupid," which is probably the worst thing in the world for Lawrence. Like it's like
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine looking stupid. Just like a horrifying thought to him.
Yeah. That's for sure. Because he has to be the smartest person in the room, and he clearly looks down on everybody. And you do get a nice somewhat journey with him and kind of him realizing his serious character flaws, I guess, right?
It's hard to pinpoint when he came to that realization, though, which is what's real struggle for me.
I agree because you don't really kind of get it until randomly he's in the meeting about
exactly.
getting department chair, because he does want department chair, and the daughter's coaching him on it, and he needs it. He should have gotten it.
He had like
years
a
ago kind of stuff.
conversation with Chuck like the night before about
Right.
like you don't even realize what's going on around your family right now.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then cut to the next scene where he's sitting in this department meeting. He's thinking like, yeah, you know what? I shouldn't even have this job. I'm like, what?
Well, yeah, because I'm pretty sure the student who's involved in this picking, who's I think is also
Yeah, it's also
the
dating
one
his son.
with
Yeah.
the son, which is really weird, down low type of thing going on. But anyway, like, why do you even want it? And that's because, like, yeah, I've been thinking about this a lot lately. I'm like, have you? Because thanks for cluing
News to
us in.
yeah.
Yeah, but like, yeah, it's like the weird revelation, epiphany, as he, I guess, calls it later. Maybe that's the epiphany moment or whatever. But that's like, I would be terrible at this job. You need to like people and be good at small talk, and I don't want to do any of those things. Like, that sounds terrible.
Yeah.
And it's like,
I agree, by the way.
I agree, and it's so it's kind of a weird thing. Is it's like there's something here, but maybe everybody's confused on exactly what they want to do here
I don't know.
or how to get it across. So the biggest mess of this movie is the main character.
I agree. Yeah, Lawrence lightens up a little and seems to enjoy life a bit after dating Dr. Janet, and the stuff his brother told him, I guess, just sinks in his head one day.
Yeah,
But like I said, I can't really see a definitive point of realization for him. It just feels like it comes out of the blue. It just becomes like a better person all of a sudden. Like, oh, all right.
and the moment where Janet is like, "Oh no, I've made a horrible mistake," is at the airport. And he has these comments about the children running around, and somebody needs to be controlling these children. And of course, we'll get to her later on why she's feeling that. But I'm like, yeah, this is not getting through to him. I don't think he realizes how he's coming off at all.
Is it bad for me that I was on his side with this one? And I was like,
yes, you are.
those kids should not be running around an airport. The parents should be controlling that shit. You gotta put that shit on lock.
It's not a thing. It's not a thing. I get really defensive, I have to say, about anybody who's like, control your kids or make sure they're not acting out in this place or whatever like that. It was like, man, like,
I don't confront the parents. I'll just judge you silently.
oh, well, that's good for you. I've had some people that have not.
Yeah.
But it's really awful, I feel, especially when you don't know the situation. And I thought I was on her side. They were just on a plane for like a couple hours or whatever. They need to run a little bit. Like as long as they're not like bulldozing people over or whatever, like they're not like, I didn't think they were being anything objectionable like, oh geez, these kids are really
No, that's true.
throwing hell. They weren't. They just
you know
ran
what, though?
by
Like,
them.
that's like there's a previous scene where she starts to like basically bully him into like give me the right answer, and he's like, am I being asked questions? I don't even know. What is this test? So like he's very like off kilter, and I don't blame him at all for being like, what
It is coming out of nowhere, especially because she's
not giving him all the context of this why she's
Exactly.
feeling this way.
But at the same time, I kind of get it. Like, okay, she's pregnant with this guy's kid, and look how this kid is like acting and feeling towards children. And you already see how his children already are, or at least the daughter, who she's already called a bitch. So I get her feeling.
Did you just spell out bitch?
I did. Sorry, I was with my children earlier. My bad.
They're in bed now. It's fine. You can.
Yeah. Well, hopefully. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I gave this category a 2. I was like, I like Dennis Quaid, but no, this character never really came together for me. It was kind of
Yeah,
a
I
drag on the
agree.
movie.
I agree, and that's why I was kind of like I thought of it later, like, man, like if somebody was else, or maybe you're right, maybe a different direction about it. That's why I was like, maybe if it was like a Jason Bateman and Bad Words kind of feel, this would have really been a lot better. But I also gave it a 2.
Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't think about because I know Dennis Quaid could have easily knocked it out of the park. I don't know if this was his decision or the director or what.
that's
but,
what
like,
I think. I think it's a
I
good
know he's
call
charming.
that you said that. He is incredibly charming, and I'm pretty sure he could have pulled off a Jason Bateman type
still
like
keep going
performance.
Back to Bateman. I don't know.
Because again, I feel like that's the archetype that would have nailed this. But I think he could have done it because I do think he's a good actor. He's a great actor. And so I think you're right. I don't think it's his fault here. I think it was directed weird. Like it was just a weird choice. And it you could have had a lot more humor in this role with a different type of performance that was asked of him. And I don't think that was asked of him. So I think that was a good point.
All right, Tim. Favorite laugh out loud moments. Your hilarity.
Oh, there's not a lot. Again, most of it's gonna come from Chuck and
Well, let me ask you, Tim. Do you make your
Vanessa.
Do you make your students wear name tags?
No, but that one felt the most like, oh, this is hitting a little too close to home.
I got another one for you. On like, I wonder how Tim's gonna react to this part too.
Yeah, no, that one hit a little too close to home. Like there was a few times at the beginning of the movie where they made the joke like, do you even know my name? And he goes, like
I've had
almost
two
like
classes with you already.
Yeah.
And he's like, of course I know your name. And you can see Miss Kim. Like, you look at the paper.
Yeah. Which I think is another student in the class that said that too, which is funny. I have totally had this problem. I have horrible time with students' names. Like within the semester, I'm pretty good. But if there
Out
are
of
some
sight,
kids,
out of mind.
yeah, if there's some kids that really were like recluses, I could totally forget.
So you're just you're a couple years
yeah.
away from having them wear name tags.
Oh, well, no, I do try to, although, like, I like the thing at the end where he's like, hey, where are you from? Where he
Right.
has this, like, whole, like, journey where he's learned from his date almost. Like, that's something I do right from the start.
Oh.
And I still have that problem where, like, the next semester I'm like, hey, man, what's going on? Like, yeah.
Oh, how are you doing?
How are you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, hey, Miss Guy, how are you? Yeah, man, what are you doing? You doing well? Like, yeah, I totally do that stuff all the time. I'm bad with it. I really am.
I also loved a kid wants to come talk to Lawrence right before the office hours are over.
It's my favorite part.
So Lawrence quickly closes the door on him and changes the office clock to after 5. And the kid complains that the clock isn't right. His watch is accurate to 100th of the second. Lawrence tells him that clock is official campus time. And if he disagrees, he has to take it up with maintenance, but they close at 5 too.
And they're across campus.
Yeah. I was like, this feels like something Tim has daydreamed about.
Oh, yes, without a doubt. There's been times
This is like
where
every
I've had
teacher, I think, is daydreamed about this.
exactly. We've all had office hours and kids have abused stuff that you're like,
Right.
oh, I just want to go home.
Coming in like
stop.
5 minutes before office time is over. Like,
Exactly. Exactly.
right.
So yeah, totally felt true. Really loved that part. And it was probably my favorite part of the whole movie, to be honest.
Wow, all right.
And to be honest too, it's from him, and I really liked his performance in those scenes, and it wasn't Thomas Hayden Church. So, but that kind of is about it.
Okay. Well, not really laugh out loud funny, but satisfying as hell to watch Lawrence get his car towed after he parked like an asshole and took 2 spots. Parking spots are like gold in college. And
I didn't realize, was he taking 2 spots?
yeah, he went like diagonal 2 spots. And I'm like, I was looking like Uma Thurman in Kill Bill, like, yeah, I was like, no. I hate that in normal life, but doing that at a college,
Oh yeah.
oh.
I must have not picked up on the parking spot.
Well, that's
thing.
why he gets
funny.
towed. That's why he gets towed.
Actually, I was just like, he was just in a spot he wasn't supposed to be in or something. I didn't even pick up on the in between 2 spots. So wow, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
good, deserves to be towed.
Oh, I was just like, oh, I hate this man.
Yeah, he owns the place. He's been teaching here so long.
Yeah, so I didn't really find anything funny about him going to the impound lot. I don't know if you did. Have anything written down?
I kind of, when he calls him a litigious shit, and then when the guy like kind of, recites it back to him. Sorry, just being a litigious little shit here or something. I thought that was kind of funny, but otherwise, no, I didn't really find it funny.
All right, so the car gets impounded. So
Yeah.
but he really needs his briefcase. So he hops over the fence to grab the briefcase from his car, and then hops back over, but falls on his head on the way over. So he's
Yeah.
in the hospital, that's how he gets his traumatic, his seizure-induced traumatic injury, whatever.
Right.
And his doctor, Dr. Janet Hartigan, calls the house to let his daughter know where he is. And she cannot be bothered to visit him because she has the SATs tomorrow.
She needs a perfect score.
Yeah, and both of them like hang up and call each other a bitch. And I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
I enjoyed that.
I did.
So fast forward to Thomas Hayden Church on the scene. Now he is his chauffeur. And
Right.
the
Not wanting to be. Or at least Lawrence does not want him to be. But it's kind of like your only option sort of deal.
Yeah, because insurance is not going to pay for a driver.
What are you doing here? I watch a documentary on snow apes. It's just like,
Oh, I just
I don't know if it's the wings attachment. I don't know what it is, but like almost everything coming from his mouth, I'm like, I love this dude.
I am a Thomas Hayden Church supporter forever. I always will be. But yeah, no, but my dude backing out for the very first morning.
Yes.
And he hitting the garbage cans, and he's like, oop, and then he hits them again. As he does it. The
Yes.
look on his face as he's going through the whole thing, where he's just like, well,
Yep.
oh well. I don't know. It's just... And Dennis Quaid in the back, like,
Yeah, he does
I-
a good job of being annoyed by him. So it
yeah,
does
but
work.
like, really, I'm laughing at Thomas Hayden Church's face. In
Oh,
this.
for sure,
He's
for
like,
sure.
I know this
'Cause,
is
yeah.
driving you nuts, and it doesn't bother me at all that I'm doing this. It's like, whatever.
What are you gonna do?
This is a really funny face on Church's face. Sorry.
No, I agree.
Oh, here's another.
That's what I have down.
Here's another one that I think was universal, but all teachers especially. When's the last time you attended a department meeting? When was the last time there was anything on the agenda worth discussing? I'm not a teacher, but I can hear every teacher just like woot in the background. Woot.
Yeah, I guess it depends on where you are and where you're at. I generally, if I have to choose a meeting, I'd much be in favor of my department meeting. Other than like, other kind of meetings, you're like, oh, why are we here? This could have been in an email. But yes, without a doubt, yes.
Vanessa is incensed that her father isn't just being given the chair to the English department. You should have had that position 8 years ago. I mean, that was a travesty if I ever saw one. You were 9 years old at the time.
I think that was the brother
It was,
with a
yeah, Jim.
rare humor.
Jim gets to be on the scene. Poor Jim,
yeah.
not on the poster, but he has a couple of nice moments in this movie.
Yeah, very, very few. And it's mostly just him and his sister being nasty to each other. Like, but luckily he has these like bits that I guess we should talk about side character. But anyway, he's got these bits of being like nice to Chuck.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, so he's actually like not a bad guy, and his dad is clearly a dick to him. So like, he's not a bad dude. They just her and the sister, or him and the sister, really don't like each other. But yeah, I thought the bits about him nominating himself and then her being like, I know who nominated himself and it worked. It was Dick Cheney.
I have this written down too.
Yes. And then Thomas Haden Church kind of goes into the whole, the lesbian daughter. And then he kind of does the whole thing. I was like, that was pretty funny.
Lawrence thinks it's unethical, but he's also true. If you weren't alive in 2000, I can't explain to you how funny we all thought it was at the time and how ridiculous George W. Bush's nomination by itself was at the time. This country once shamed Vice President Dan Quayle from Public Life Forever for misspelling potato. I mean, the bar...
How far we've come.
Oh my God, the bar has fallen so far.
Yeah.
But like,
it's pretty funny. Even this stuff with like, he's part of the committee and appointed himself. Like, I wish. I wish it was something so stupid like that.
Lawrence,
but you gotta love Thomas Haden Church, by the way. Just the cadence,
always.
I can't. Of the way he's delivering this thing about Cheney's daughter and stuff is just, it's just funny.
Tip the iceberg for him, but
yeah, it really is.
Lawrence runs into Janet in the parking lot and pretends he remembered Janet was a student. He just got filled in by her friend, the neurologist.
The dude from The Office,
Roy,
in a random
David Denham.
which I guess in a one-off line, he's also gay in this movie?
Yes. I didn't write him up in side characters, but yeah.
No, I only put that down because it's like, I think the one out of maybe 3 times that I got a laugh from Sarah Jessica Parker in this movie. Because I kind of like he's giving the line about like, you've left a wake of men in whatever. It's like, so have you, or whatever. So I was like, I kind of like that line. So that was a nice delivery from her.
Well, because if a man and a woman are friends in a movie and they're not sexually interested in each other, he must be gay, or she must be. So that's the only way movies allow it, especially in this time.
Otherwise, like he's not. At least they're not making him this like overt gay guy. He's just a guy, like he just happens to be gay.
That's
so
a good point.
I kind of like that.
Anyway, so he starts like filling in small talk with Janet. Lawrence does. He's trying to like apologize. I didn't recognize you immediately. And he asks like, "Did you lose weight?" No, not at all. Sarah Jessica Parker is 43 years old in this movie.
Yeah,
and 59 years old now. And I truly believe that she has been the same weight since she was 19 years old. So this just feels like almost like an in-joke. Because it's Sarah Jessica Parker. It's like, no.
I did enjoy her like slight eye roll just walks off screen after he says it too.
Yeah, like no, not at all.
Yeah. But it's weird. It's like, I like this. It's slightly humorous, but then goes into, why the hell does she say yes? What in the world? I don't get it.
Well, the initial yes, I understand. Because she had a crush on him in college. So it's like, okay, I'm going to explore this, whatever. And every time after that, I'm like, good Lord, why would you give him another chance?
Yeah.
But we'll get into that.
Fair enough.
You really should make your bed. It sets the tone for the day. How do you know what tone I want to set, though? And Church is like, aha! Like, look on his face. Like Eddie Murphy in Coming to America telling the joke, the fly, or the spoon joke.
Right. I feel like the most...
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Where's the spoon?
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like, too, for like the rest of the movie, the next like 2 or 3 funniest parts of the movie is just Lawrence coming to wake in his brother and finding him in some kind of pose with his ass hanging out. It made me laugh every time.
It progresses every time. It starts off with like just wearing like the long johns
like
or whatever.
A onesie with the back that can hang out.
Yeah.
It's not just any long john that with the back hangs out. It's a onesie that with the back.
Right,
like,
and then eventually at the end of the movie, he's just buck naked.
he's just straight up buck naked. Yeah. And his butt is always visible, and he always gives this look. That made me laugh each time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't you think it's weird to keep dead people's clothes lying around? Yes.
Yes. And I like to where like, and then she goes, ooh, and then we could donate it.
Yeah.
And then there's a tax write-off. You monster.
You're a monster.
Yeah.
It's just like a deadpan. Like, yeah,
It's like you almost did something cool and nice, but then you just straight up were a monster.
Yeah.
So I gotta go. Yeah.
And then you got Chuck tries to convince Vanessa to relax and offers her a joint. And she's like,
Yeah.
great. Now I'm in an after-school special.
I like that line too. That was a good one.
Que linda marijuana. The way Church delivered this cracked me up.
The way he's just speaking Spanish.
And then she's like, oh, Jesus. And then they get high and watch a telenovela together. Don't know what Vanessa was studying at the time when he interrupted her.
Yeah, it's just general because it's after SAT.
Right, but I guess it was supposed to be Spanish, but gotta say, Vanessa looks like a girl who would have taken French or Latin as her second language.
Probably, yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
And then, meanwhile, you got Lawrence asking Janet out for a face-to-face conversation Friday night.
Oh, yeah.
Couldn't even say date. But
Yeah.
I love after she says yes and pulls away, like Dennis Quaid just sort of like going up and down on his toes is like a hop celebration.
I like to.
It really made me laugh. I don't know.
Where he tries because he tries to entice her by talking about Victorian literature or whatever, and then like we can continue this on a face-to-face date and we continue talking about Victorian literature. It's
the
like,
joke of it,
but I like her joke of being like, we were not having a conversation. Like it was just you talking. So it's like this nice, like kind of, I got to give it to it. It's like a nice lead up to exactly where this date is going to go.
Right.
It's just you
And
talking.
the reason he has to say face-to-face conversation too is because he was sitting behind her in the car the entire time. It's just
right.
so,
And
so
nobody
weird.
makes a Miss Daisy joke. Horrible.
Well, we already got one of those this year.
I guess it's
Would have been
old,
more
right?
plausible for these people than the kid in Role Models to make that joke.
Yeah.
The family runs errands together, and Jim asks if they can go to the mall tonight instead because he wants to watch some basketball games. I guarantee you, like the only person in that family who watches any kind of sport. And Lawrence says he can't. He has an appointment with Dr. Hardigan.
Yes.
Chuck is proud. Good work. You spend $50 on a dinner. That's ground for intercourse. It's none of your business. And Vanessa's worried for her dad. If there are any romantic inklings, you're simply not ready. I mean, the sociosexual mores have really shifted. And let's not forget the stigma attached to widowers. Widowers? At some point, the statute of limitations has got to run out on that. I really wish we had known exactly how long it had been.
Yeah, you never really get it clued in on exactly how long it's been.
Yeah,
It seems like it's been a while.
long time. Yeah.
Yeah. Because even there was like one reference about him taking her ice skating like when she was young. So like I'm assuming it's been a while.
There's a sport. Another sport that maybe they could have all watched together. I don't know.
Ice skating? No.
Ice skating is a sport.
Yeah.
Several sports. Winter Olympics, baby. Best Olympics.
I disagree, but okay, fair enough.
Sit there and be wrong.
We got basketball coming up, man. Come on.
That's
Yeah.
I love basketball.
I know you do.
I just track and field bores me.
Yeah, that's fair.
Right? I mean, it's like an entire
it's-
week of track and field. It's too much track and field.
But it's always at the end.
Right. It's
Which
the last week of the Olympics. It's like,
But that's kind of when I'm already kind of had my thing already, so I'm good.
all right.
Right?
So Lawrence
Yeah.
doesn't shut the fuck up during dinner.
No.
Even cuts
at all.
Janet off from ordering coffee and orders a slice of chocolate cake and 2 forks without talking to her.
Yeah.
45 minutes, and he has talked nonstop and hasn't asked her anything about herself. Oh, and it turns out he gave her a C when she took his class. And he called her paper sophomoric. I was a freshman. That's not what sophomoric means.
See, this I had a problem with this scene.
Well, and then because of her class, Lauren, she switched her major from English to biology. I think it worked out. And he seems
Clearly
incredulous that she would harbor a grudge from a grade given over 10 years ago. One, clearly a bit over 10 years ago.
Yeah, it should have been, yeah.
And two, like, yeah, that's fair. It's weird.
Yeah, I feel like there was more comedy here.
Should have been.
It should have been, right? And this is
You're
where
just
I
uncomfortable,
feel like
ugh.
it's like a prime candidate to like, what kind of a movie is this? If you're trying to get more comedy out of here, this should have been done differently. And I know he could have pulled that off, and I know clearly she could do comedy incredibly well. So it's like I'm like where?
So you
again, that's what I said. Both.
Yeah.
I started off with him.
Sorry.
So that's why I think you're so right. Like this was just a writing directing problem. Like this was not the right way to go about this.
I don't know if it's the writing. I don't know if it's the directing. I don't know if it was the actor who just made a choice and the director just agreed with it.
You're right.
Or what.
Okay,
I don't
fair
know.
enough,
I can't
fair.
cast aspersions, but I'll just say like the choice that Dennis Quaid has made with this character has not added anything to it. It's a negative.
But I feel like even her response of the whole thing about sophomoric should have been funnier and
well, it's not,
could have been in other, you know what I mean? Like I know she can deliver humor. So like I just feel like there's so many marks that missed in this scene that should have been funny.
Yeah, his delivery of like that's not what sophomoric means.
Right.
Lands like a lead
Just
plate.
doesn't land, and but if it lands like of a feeling of that should have worked.
Yeah, because it's a funny line in like reading it.
Right. And I know he could have done it.
And I
so
see
it's
where you
weird.
mean by like if like someone being like if he was a quick wit sarcastic son of a bitch like a Bateman like you were saying.
Right.
That's like a line that would have like been aces.
Right.
But so that's where we get to the immortal line now. I take it by your presence here at 8:45. You did not get laid.
That is a good line. Again, Tom St. George is awesome.
Yeah, he's got like his feet up on like his table, just watching him come in, like just like looking at him all disappointed.
Yeah.
And then Lawrence goes into Vanessa's room after his date and strikes up a conversation, but he's embarrassed about it. He's like,
Yeah.
"This is a nice sized room. Pretty sure you've been in it before."
Yeah.
And then he gets to the meeting. He's like, "Do you think I'm self-absorbed?" And she's like, "I think self-absorption is underrated." It's like, what?
What a take.
And she goes on. She's like, Teresa Sternbridge is always out doing charity, practically runs the soup kitchen, posing in photos with crack babies and dying old crusty ladies because she scored in the 45th percentile of her SATs. People like Vanessa and her dad don't need to compensate. And it's like, oh man, these fucking people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's I was gonna say again, the two Thomas St. Church and Elliot Page just kind of are the ones that somewhat are consistently bringing some kind of humor, because she can bring some energy and some humor to these lines that work. Like even
they're really good. Elliot Page is I've seen Elliot Page do many things.
Yes, obviously. Like even so they have this you can kind of see it, right? He's trying to break her out of it. She goes for the wrong thing, and she sees attention for once and gets drunk and kisses him, and then he needs to be uncomfortably like, I need to pull back like crazy. But then she doesn't know how to interact after that, so she just doubles down on being an asshole.
Well, I'll get into that later. That's further on, but yeah.
But I just want to say it was like the next kind of thing, he's putting up like signs on the street. Don't.
It's way further on.
Why is it way that? I don't have much on humor, but okay.
Okay. Oh, well, right after this conversation with his daughter, he goes on and he starts off with a glass of scotch, and eventually moving to swigging it right out of the bottle. And Lawrence regrades Janet's paper that she gave him, and raises her grade from a C to a B minus, and then back to a C.
Yeah.
And he goes to the hospital and tells her he's sticking with the C. But I should have been more diplomatic and less pompous as your professor and your dinner date. And somehow this wins her back for another date.
Makes no sense.
Oh my god.
None.
So then you get Christmas.
That's again like if someone maybe could have made that more charming or well-meaning as much as it comes off. I don't know.
No,
it's
it's
weird.
Dennis Quaid's got like a killer smile. So like
He does, obviously,
when he throws those
yeah.
chiclets out, I can understand why she'd be like, okay, sure. But it's like anytime where he's not throwing like 100 miles per hour in the charm with that stuff, it's like run away. Why would you ever want to do
Why?
this? Like
Why?
So Vanessa, her car breaks down in the parking lot of the Young Republicans. So
Yeah.
Chuck has to pick her up. Oh, it's a jumpstart her car.
Yeah.
And goes through like, I think she's got the jumper cables, so he goes through her trunk, and he sees like a brochure that she has back there.
Yeah,
Stem cell research, the wrong choice. That's some real riveting shit here. You Young Republicans sure know how to party. Bet you guys had a lot of fun on Friday nights. I have fun. You're at a Hitler Youth rally on your first night of Christmas break. And that's where she admits to Chuck that she actually got into Stanford like 2 weeks ago, but hasn't told her father.
Yeah.
Carnegie Mellon is free for her while he works there, and Stanford is $40,000 a semester. Which got me wondering, that's what they say in that movie, got me wondering, what is Stanford a semester today, Tim?
Oh, why would you want to look that up? You're gonna depress the hell out of me now.
Well, you're not going to Stanford.
No, but still, the racket that is college education at this point.
Well, would you like to know what it costed this semester?
Let our audience know.
Do you want to give a guess?
No,
No.
I don't.
$58,500 a semester,
That's so terrible.
right? That's before the
Sure.
books.
That's so terrible.
So Chuck offers to take her out to celebrate, and they go to a bar.
Yeah.
I love drunk Vanessa asking the girls waiting in line in the bathroom.
Oh yeah, this is another good one. I did have this one. You're right. My bad.
What's it like being stupid? What's it like sitting alone at lunch every day? It sucks.
It's such a great line from Elliot Page. Like nails it. It is so good.
All right. I'm going to just get out in the open. It is tricky, I understand. So
I know.
Elliot Page playing
Yeah.
a female in this movie.
Right.
But Elliot
In
Page
the time
Elliot,
was a female.
Yeah,
It was identifying as female.
Elliot Page's pronouns are he and they. So that's
Right. I mean, it's weird
just-
because in the context of the era, was not identifying this way at this time.
right. I know. I'm just saying. But
yeah.
if you want to, I'm just trying to help you out. Put you
I
out.
get it.
I'm trying.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. It's just it's complicated because again, it's different eras and context.
When you're talking about the character, by all means use she. When you're talking about the actor, he, they.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank
Sure.
you for help. Awesome.
So yeah,
Nails the line.
really, really funny stuff. And then we cut back to so Lawrence and Janet on the date. The date has gone much better this time. What'd you think of that kiss that he lays on her? Was it Roger Moore-like to you?
I love that you just said that. Yes, it
He
was.
attacked her. He jumped her.
Before that, I wanted to give him some props about her asking about the book and him completely ignoring the book questions.
Yeah.
And being like, I'm not falling for that trap. And that was the smile is there. That is like, he got that moment of what he's good at.
The real Quaid's coming out.
Exactly. Like that was like, oh, where was this the whole time? But yeah, I agree with you. In that moment, he went for it hard in there. I was like, wow, okay. Good thing it wasn't a close up on the lips, because then it would have literally made me think
Sucker
of it.
soul out. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess then they totally cut again to like they have finished intercourse, and
That was rough. That's rough. That it was like an Office moment.
I'm not used to condoms, but I thought it went okay.
Oh man,
I laughed pretty hard because the look on his face where he's like smiling, hey, right? And she's like,
I haven't done that in a really long time. Like, yeah,
yeah.
basically. No, this is where I thought it was really good on her part, because he's saying like continuously like things that you're like pulling your hair. What are you? Stop saying this.
Oh.
It's like word vomit. Like, stop what you're doing. And
They're
you see
positioning
this
on
look.
the bed. She is on the side at the edge of the bed, and he keeps on coming closer and closer. And
Right.
she's like, gotta get away, gotta get away, gotta get away.
Yeah. And it's a moment. It's just like he's like, oh, you know, my daughter makes an amazing spread.
Christmas
Like,
dinner. He's inviting her to Christmas dinner.
oh my
She's like,
God! You just had sex for the first time. You're inviting her for dinner. Oh my God! And so it's weird because I get maybe it should have been funny in an Office type of way, but I'm horrified watching it. And maybe the moment where she is clearly sneaking behind a car to like
pretend
go
that
back
she's-
home.
Yeah, she pretends she gets a page to the hospital and gets him out of the house.
And I'm like, should this have been funny? Or because it's really just like, oh man, this sucks. Like, you just failed. Like,
Yeah.
and then again, how she decides to go to Christmas
Well,
dinner
before that, let's cut
makes no sense.
back to the bar.
All right, fair enough.
So Vanessa's drunk after ass, and Chuck is taking her home because she is wasted.
Yeah. Well, he witnesses the scene of the what does it feel like to be stupid type of thing and all
Right.
that kind of stuff. So he's like, all right.
So yeah, he takes her out to the car, and that's where she makes a move on him and tries to make out with her uncle. The only guy that's nice to her and gives her any attention.
I just want to put, I don't know if we put this out there before of anybody who's not seen it. He is the adoptive brother of our main character, so he's not blood related to anybody.
Well, I was about to say this line,
okay.
but yeah, we're
It's not biblical. Is that the line?
Yeah, you're adopted. It's not like it's biblical. You just want to fuck that trashy waitress. And to Chuck's credit, he's like, that's none of your business. You're drunk, you're 17, and you're my niece.
And just puts her in the car.
Yeah. And then it's like Janet ghosts Lawrence for a while, and then just
Yeah.
randomly shows up to Christmas dinner.
Makes no, I mean, he does make like a ton of phone calls, so I don't know if she just eventually felt bad enough. I don't know, but it doesn't make much sense. But it does make you feel after a while, by the way, to be like, wow, as much as Chuck is the one that doesn't have his life together, he's borrowed money a lot of times, like he is actually the most normal somehow.
Chuck and James are comfortable with who they are.
Right.
And they get along with people just fine. But yeah, so they are decent people, but they just, Chuck especially just doesn't have his life together and he's happy with. But we'll get into that later.
Yeah, fair enough.
So yeah, she appears at Christmas dinner after ghosting Lawrence for an unspecified amount of time. Really don't know how long it's been.
Yeah.
And Chuck answers the door. You're the doctor girlfriend, right? You're the adopted brother, right? Well, you don't appear to be boring. Well, you just met me. For all you know, I'm quite boring. You've presented yourself here uninvited and unannounced for Christmas dinner. That is not boring. And the cake? The cake says Merry Christmas from Lexitonin. Lexitonin? That's an antidepressant. I stole it from the break room. And you can see, like, okay, yeah, we're going to make a TV show for HBO in a couple of years together. This is
Right.
We have actual chemistry. This is great.
Agreed. It is a really nice moment. Forgot about that one.
And so, yeah, really weird dinner. Vanessa's not happy with her being there.
No, makes her an oversized plate.
Yeah, it's going to make her eat that ham. It apparently
Which
tastes
is
like a tire.
apparently, yeah, it tastes like rubber, basically, yeah. Which, in that scene, I'm like, James, I like you, but you're kind of like over the top being a jerk, but
Yeah.
okay.
But yeah, so past that, Lawrence and Janet are just enjoying their time together.
I also like when Vanessa
She's like-
offers to shove it up his ass instead.
Yeah, to James, yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, Janet and Lawrence are flirting around together, and she says, I like suburban Pittsburgh for Christmas. And he says, yes, it's really quite glamorous. You're in the Paris of Western Pennsylvania. Might be the most charming Dennis Quaid is in the movie right there.
Fair. I don't know. I would say earlier, but yeah, I don't know. It could have been better on that moment. I don't know. I have such a weird issue with it.
So later on, Chuck asks Lawrence for money so he can get his own apartment.
Yeah, he's staying with a friend or a girlfriend.
He's saying. And Lawrence responds, more and more I'm getting used to you. I need you here. So no. And Chuck's like, there's a twinkle of humanity in there.
I actually really liked that scene a lot. I thought that was the most human scene of the whole movie.
Yeah.
I really liked it, where he kind of came around on his brother, because you do get these like every once in a while lines of like, like, hey, I your father smoked pot. I'd have to buy it for him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so there was
scared, yeah.
There's these references to there was something there, but he like aged out of him or something. So it's almost like this, like coming back.
Chuck
to
has
being,
never
like,
grown up, but he's perfectly comfortable with that, and it drives Lawrence insane.
Right, exactly, and so and even in the credits scene is nice with the two of them. So yeah, it's a nice. I really like that moment.
So yeah, after that previous happenstance at the bar, Chuck is trying to avoid Vanessa. He's a little freaked out about the whole thing, and she's
anyone should.
Well, yeah. You could almost lay it down as drunk, but even when she's sober, she's still coming on to him.
Yeah, because she says that comment about like his tight pants.
I was about to say, yeah, Vanessa walking in while Chuck's changing and telling him his jeans look really great, really snug in all the right right areas. And Chuck's like, no, you can't say that to me. And the last thing that made me laugh in this movie.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, I'm amazed how much nuggets you're finding.
Why would you have a baby with me? Lawrence asks Janet. And Janet says, because you don't know how to properly use a condom.
Yes. That's it. And what is this? He says something back that I thought was kind of funny, too. He said something like noted or something like that.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, right after that, which I was like, oh, there's the charm. Like that. It was a nice moment. I agree with you. There was another moment, too, where Vanessa saying something about her reading Cosmo, and he's like, you read Cosmo? Like, the way he delivered that line, I was like, oh, there's another nice charming
like
moment.
At the grocery store when I'm waiting in line.
Yeah.
Fleetingly.
So I like that interchange a little bit, but then, yeah, that was about it. The condom joke was exactly the last thing I had written down.
Yeah. So I gave the category a 5.
Oh, okay. I went 4.
All right.
That's fair. Okay, well, you're a whole point higher, though, now. Wow.
I am. So supporting characters. Thomas Hayden Church plays Chuck.
Clearly our comedy hero of the movie.
Yeah, Lawrence's adopted drifter brother. He's had jobs as kitchen knife salesman, aluminum siding salesman, and now he's into calling cards. A lot of money in calling cards.
Yeah.
Lawrence starts out wanting nothing to do with him and refuses to lend him any more money. He is, after giving him almost $2,000 before.
Right, yeah.
Which he's never paid back.
Never.
Lawrence disdains his brother, and Vanessa, the dutiful daughter, follows suit, but he seems to get along great with Lawrence's son, James.
Yeah, gives him a nice embrace when they do see each other for the first time, and then lets him stay in his dorm. You find out he's staying in James's dorm those 2 or 3 times a week or whatever.
Yeah, Chuck recognizes that Vanessa is turning into a small clone of his brother and has no social life or much of a childhood. And he tries to break her out of that funk, but it backfires, and she tries to seduce him, which rightfully freaks the hell out.
Yep.
And tries to avoid her and gets to the point where he pretends to have a girlfriend and crashes at James' dorm to get away from her and Lawrence a few nights a week. And eventually Chuck and Vanessa come to an understanding, and the movie almost makes the attempt that this unfortunate incident is going to lead Chuck into growing up a bit, but he admits to Vanessa he likes his life as it is.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is a fun character.
It is.
Thomas Hayden Church knocks it out of the park.
He does, and he's gonna have a bit more responsibility, but he sees like the issues and what's going on, like things have gone too far, and he's pulling it back a little bit, but it all of a sudden is kind of aging him up. I honestly, gosh, I wish it was more focused on him.
I kind of felt that way too, watching him. Like, this dynamic is really fascinating. I would have enjoyed watching the entire movie just about this.
Yeah, what if it started with him as
remember
a dude?
Juno, where like Jason Bateman gets the wrong idea and starts coming on to Elliot Page?
Yeah.
It's like,
great movie.
Right. of course. But what if it was the reverse? But like, he's like, no, like, wait, you have completely misinterpreted what this is supposed to be. That would have been fascinating to watch.
It would have been. I think it would have been an interesting thing of him kind of aging up out of this.
Right, like,
too.
I got to stop hanging out with young children. This is...
Right. Like, yeah, and okay, as much as I like my life, but I mean, maybe this needs to grow up a little bit. Because, you know what's another weird moment that didn't quite land is when he decides to sell back the wife's clothes after they were already been sold type of deal. Like, I felt like that moment just didn't land the way it should have.
Okay, so Vanessa and Chuck drop off all of the clothes at Goodwill from her dead mom. Angry, Lawrence goes back and buys all of the clothes that they sold. And then towards the end of the movie, the clothes, which are still in the Goodwill bags that he bought them in, gives them back again. And still gets the tax receipt, though.
But keeps the Wesleyan sweatshirt to give to his adopted brother, which
Chuck, who liked it. Yeah,
Aw.
yeah. He enjoyed the women's college sweater.
Yeah, I like.
I wonder if his wife was a big woman that could bid on Thomas Hayden Church. Thomas Hayden Church, not a small man.
because he's got some broad shoulders.
How tall is Thomas Hayden Church? He's a tall dude, isn't he?
Regardless of his height, he's got broad shoulders.
Right, but he wears that sweater like it fits him. So it's
a little bit more snug, but sure, I get
he's like 5'11". Yeah. All right.
But like I do like when Thomas Hayden Church calls Vanessa a narc.
Yeah.
About like telling your dad telling me that it's a woman's college. Narc. There's so much worse stuff in that conversation that went down, but he was more annoyed about her having to tell him that it was a woman's college.
Well, it's because they were smoking pot at the time, and that's why he called her a narc.
But that's why it was funny.
Yeah. Then we get to Vanessa, played by Elliot Page, is Lawrence's 17-year-old daughter, and she is a young Republican. Wow.
Yeah, and a Model UN alum.
Yeah, bitter at life and rationalizes not having friends or social life because she's smarter than everyone else, and they're just beneath her.
Yes.
And she speaks in the same bored with life cadence as her father, especially when she's around him. And she's extremely protective of her dad, though, and is antagonistic towards Janet. Probably because of a mix of genuine concern that her dad could get hurt and get worse than he actually is.
It's amazing where you even have lines where she literally thinks the doctor, Janet, a medical doctor,
right,
is beneath them intelligence-wise. Which is like, wow. Like, okay. Like, but like you kind of get it, like the upbringing and the intellect stuff, the snobbishness. Like, this is kind of where the smart people thing kind of comes into play. Like, I kind of get it, but like, whew, it's rough.
And then I also get the impression that she doesn't want to see him get happy because she'll be the last bitter person standing in the family.
Yeah.
The movie always has Vanessa wearing some kind of like low cut sweater with some kind of turtleneck underneath.
Yeah.
I can't imagine how like hot Elliot Page must have been throughout filming with those lights on her and wearing all that clothes.
Yeah, the least amount is what she was in the gym outfit, and man, she was totally mad that her dad was there for her gym class.
I'd be pissed too if I saw my parents show up in my gym class when I was.
That's fair. It must be a private school. Like I love all these like movies with high schoolers wearing like a uniform for gym. Yeah. It's like, what is this? Yeah. Who had a uniform?
But like Vanessa has to do like all the cooking and cleaning for the family, and no one is particularly appreciative of it, except for like probably Chuck.
Yes, which is a guy. Actually, there's another line I forgot that I really liked. Is when they make up.
Yeah, we're gonna be just friends. And then he comes back like, friend,
like, hey, friend, can you make a sandwich or something? Yeah.
And it's like, order a pizza.
Order a pizza. Yeah. With everything on it or whatever. Yeah. That was a nice. Again, they had to do a lot of heavy lifting, those two.
Yeah.
For the humor.
But Elliot was really good. He was fantastic in this.
Yeah.
It's definitely a supporting part.
For sure.
But I would have, like you said, I think we're on the same page. Like, if we could did a whole movie just about Chuck and Vanessa, that would have been aces.
Much better movie.
Dr. Janet played...
Not really given anything.
Played by Sarah Jessica Parker, is the head of the ER, where Lawrence is brought. And it turns out she's a former student of his and who had a big crush on him at the time. really don't get to know much about her,
Not at all.
other than her having a bizarre attraction to Lawrence.
It doesn't make sense.
We know that she has some kind of commitment issues at the
I guess.
and the hospital is supposedly littered with men in her wake.
They're not interested. The movie's not interested in her at all.
No.
Really not.
Eventually she gets pregnant, and Janet gives Lawrence like the third degree, testing him, asking him what she is to him, and best he can come up with on the spot is like girlfriend. But they've been together for just like a couple of months, and she ghosted him for a decent part in between. So I'm really not sure what the fuck she was looking for there.
I don't know. I'm so weird here, man. I'm oddly on her side on this one. Because he's a psycho, and she shouldn't have been there to begin with. But regardless, I get what you're saying, but I'm like, I get her perspective of being like, oh man, I'm pregnant. I've made a horrible choice.
Right, but he does not know this, and so it's
No,
just like
you're right.
He walks in, and she's like, "What am I to you?" I was like, "What the fuck?"
Right. I agree.
So yeah, I know it's no issues with Sarah Jessica Parker or her performance here. It's just the character is
It's a waste.
really underwritten.
It's incredibly wasted talent.
Yeah. And James, played by Ashton Holmes, is Lawrence's son, and poor guy didn't make the poster, but I guess that's fair because he's barely in the movie, and if I was related
Really,
to Lawrence
yeah.
and Vanessa, I wouldn't want to be anywhere near them either.
Yeah, he pretty much makes it clear when he's like, yeah, Chuck's here because he needs to get away from you people.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be here either. And he doesn't even really care when the dad does show up to read his poem. Like, it's kind of like,
But he's
whatever.
kind of insulted by it. But yeah,
Well, he thinks it's really for other ulterior motives. Like, I don't think he feels the trust that he actually is like wanting to read it because he's happy for his son. I think it's for other reasons. That's the vibe I got.
I got the impression that he was like, "Oh, I'm suddenly worthy of your attention now because
Right,
I
exactly.
This poem.
Exactly. And
Sold to him.
so he doesn't
Yeah.
think it's real is basically
Right.
what it is. So I kind of get it, but like there's really, again, it's lack of development at all from the character.
Well, it's fine. He seems to be a fairly normal, well-adjusted person who, with
Yeah.
and good cause, can't stand his family.
Hey, good for him too. He's getting laid. So
Yeah, he's clearly
good for
not
him.
stupid and must have some talent since he sold the poem to the New Yorker.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And he's got a lady, so he's not as weird, awkward as his dad
Not
either,
much
so,
to-
or sister.
not much for him to do, but he was
Right.
good with what he did. And
Sure.
that's everybody I have written up. Do you have anyone else?
Nope, that was it. I unless again you would count Missy Chen, I guess is her name is, but yeah, no,
I didn't. So what you give?
I gave it a 3.
So did I.
Okay,
So yeah, I gave this movie a 10.
I gave it a 9.
Right down the middle.
So you have it right below Hamlet.
2.
Which, yeah, Hamlet. Sorry, which is basically where I have it as well.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. So
So I gotta ask you a question. Why doesn't Lawrence own a winter coat? He lives in Pittsburgh.
it's a really good point.
Western
It's cold.
Pennsylvania is not a warm temperate climate.
Not at all.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy. He never owns a winter coat. So Rachel Weisz was originally set to play Dr. Janet, but bailed for unknown reasons.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't think it would have been better.
No, I don't think you could have fixed it. I mean, it's
yeah.
not like, yeah. I'm saying like it's not like Sarah
Jessica Parker.
Jessica Parker was a bad actress that was like, oh, she messed this up. Like clearly, you could have given her more to do. It just, that was not the problem.
So this movie had a budget of $7 million and a worldwide gross of just under $12 million. Debuted at number 7, losing to the Prom Night remake and Street Kings in its debut.
Wait, what's Street Kings?
Oh, it was this cool Keanu Reeves movie, directed by David Ayer. I liked it. A lot of people didn't.
Okay, I don't even know it.
It's good. If you ever get a chance to watch it, watch it.
All right, well now I'm curious. Now you're giving.
Oh
it
yeah,
the-
yeah. Street Kings has got Keanu Reeves, Chris Evans, Hugh Laurie, Forrest Whitaker.
That's some talent. Man.
Yeah. But Roger Ebert gave this movie 2.5 stars. Our boy Roger.
Yeah.
He's called it a fairly intelligent, mildly amusing, and clinically depressed movie.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's all
Fair
I
enough.
got. That's everything.
Okay. I can't imagine going back. But
It wasn't something I was looking for, but I had seen it before.
yeah, I definitely, I
But-
think rightfully better than
I
some stuff
thought
we
it was
saw.
going to be much worse seeing it the second time, but I was like, yeah, this is fine.
Yeah, it's fine. It is fine, and I think it's got enough humor to put it over, and heart at least some, and where it needs to be where it's at.
It's a competent movie.
Yeah, could have been a lot better, but yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, so it's my pick.
It is.
And we only got 2 left. Both, you can't go wrong either way, but I feel like it's wrong for you to pick this movie that I'm gonna pick. Like it just feels right to be picked by me. So, and by your actions here, I already know that you know.
I
win. You don't win.
I get my way.
Oh, sure, whatever. The movie I'm picking is Step Brothers because it is the best movie of this year. I disagree. I'm sorry. It's a phenomenal motion picture. It is art. I'm excited to revisit it because I revisit it often, and I'm sorry to kind of show my hand here, everybody, but I can't imagine this not being pretty high scores for me.
Oh,
This
I
movie's
imagine you'll get a
phenomenal.
high score for me as well, but I imagine forgetting Sarah Marshall will probably be my number one. So we shall see.
I mean, it's a great movie. I think no matter what, I think both these movies are going to be in the top 3. Is my prediction.
We shall see.
We shall see.
All right.
All right.
Oh,
Man.
what is Step Brothers is on Hulu
Um,
right now, I believe. Yeah. Tim owns it. So he's
Oh, is it? Yeah, I don't care. Yeah, I own it. It was on Prime at the beginning of the season when you made the list, but
it's on Hulu now.
it doesn't matter. I own it. I'm gonna watch it again. It's great. It's phenomenal. Everybody check it out. You probably already have. Anyway, that is it for us. That's so good. That is it for us. Please show your support for the podcast by leaving a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, or where you happen to listen to the show. Also, sharing is caring. Be sure to follow us on social media to get the latest show updates. You can contact us by emailing at filmbrochamp@gmail.com or find us by searching for the hashtag filmbrochamp. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Film Bros Championship Podcast. Peace out, everyone.
Que linda marijuana.